Crystal Ball College Football. And I got to tell you, I'm going to be as surprised as y'all are because today, Kansas got their own segment. Kansas, the Jayhawks in football. And the reason they got their own segment is because Kansas should be ranked. They absolutely should be ranked. It's a crime that they're not. And that's just the fact of the matter. They are 26th currently. That's their rank. They had 125 votes. Kansas State, who's number 25, had 166 votes. So they're right there. They're so close. But here's why it's messed up that they are not currently ranked. They have not been ranked since 2009. So this was the perfect chance to put the Jayhawks in the top 25. They'd earned it. They got wins over Houston, West Virginia, and Duke. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. They have 2 road wins. Now, I know those teams maybe aren't as impressive as some thought at the beginning of the year, but still good teams, good programs, and Kansas beat them. And Kansas' resume is just better than some of the other teams that are ranked ahead of them. Here are a couple teams they should be ranked ahead of, in my eyes. I'm not going to go higher than 20. Like the teams inside the top 20, I get it. They were ranked higher to begin the year, or they have some impressive wins that jumped them inside the top 20. But the teams at the end of the top 25, it's getting a little dicey. It's getting a little dicey here. So Minnesota looked impressive. They haven't beaten anybody. They haven't beaten anyone. Their resume is not even close to Kansas's at this point. I know they blew out Michigan State, but I think at this point in the year, we pretty much have realized Michigan State is not good at all. They're not who we thought they were at the beginning of the year. Minnesota doesn't have a big one. Wake Forest, they played Clemson tough. They still lost. They still have not beaten anybody. I don't care that they played Clemson tight. I do not care about close losses in regards to an AP Top 25 poll at the very beginning of the year when what should really matters is who have you beaten and how many losses do you have? At least at this point in the season. I know college football playoff rankings, that's totally different. Like big losses and close games, I understand that. Big wins in close games, blowout wins against good teams, I understand all that. But for the top 25 at this current moment, there's nothing about Wake Forest's resume that is more impressive than Kansas's. Next up on this list is Pitt. Why is Pitt ranked ahead of Kansas right now? Pitt looked terrible against Rhode Island. They really don't have any impressive wins. Oh, but they have a somewhat impressive loss to Tennessee that is somehow keeping them in the top 25. Once again, why are we favoring impressive losses over impressive wins? Don't understand it. And then the final one is Kansas State, and Kansas State is in the top 25 because they beat Oklahoma, a team that everyone assumes is good. I think Oklahoma's pretty good, but I think that it's also fair to mention Oklahoma hasn't beaten anybody. I mean, Nebraska's their big win. Nebraska's not very good, so I think it's fine to point that out. It's also fine to point out that Kansas State lost to Tulane, who then this week lost to Southern Miss. What? Why are they ranked ahead of Kansas? Why? Someone explain it to me. And if you want to tell me, because Kansas was ranked so low at the beginning of the year, guys, that's just foolish. We're 4 games into the season. We need to adjust our expectations and where things are. And I just think that it's really messed up that they're not ranked. And a big reason why I think it's messed up is because of what they have coming up next. And, honestly, sitting back and taking a moment to look at their schedule, I feel really bad because there's a chance that Kansas doesn't get another opportunity to be ranked this season. I'll get to that here in a second. But here's another reason why they should be ranked. Little does everyone in the national media know. I think they're starting to turn around and come around on this. But Jayden Daniels is, in my eyes, the Heisman favorite right now. If the season ended today, he should win the Heisman. It's a fact. Kansas stinks. Kansas doesn't have the talent around him to where they should be 4-0. He should be the Heisman. I think Hendon Hooker at Tennessee, he's got an argument, but there aren't a lot of guys who are doing what Jayden Daniels has done for this Kansas team, a program that has been really bad in the past, and their expectations for this year was 2.5 wins. He's already got them to 4 wins. This offense is putting up 47 points per game against a tough schedule in which they've had to go on the road twice to very quality programs. It's nuts, and I know the defense is bad, but I don't really care about that. This offense is great. Jayden Daniels has been awesome this year, and guys, this team should be ranked. And now we're sitting here and going, okay, so, people are going to say, hey, but Grayson, here's the deal. They can just win this week and they'll be ranked. That's so much easier said than done because this week they play Iowa State, who is a 3.5-point favorite on the road at Kansas. Vegas thinks Iowa State's going to win. I think Iowa State's going to win. The over-under is 57.5 points, and we just saw Iowa State lose a game to Baylor in which they were kind of dominated, so you know they're going to want to turn around and win this game, and it just all kind of sets up for Kansas to lose this game and then not have another opportunity to be ranked again. And that stinks. That's super unfortunate and something that I think is just a problem. Given where their resume is at right now, it's a problem. So going into this Iowa State-Kansas game, let's talk a little bit about that. They've not played a top 25 defense yet this year. Iowa State's 17th in the country. So Duke's 40th, West Virginia 85th, Houston 116th. So they've really feasted on some of these bad defenses, and now they're playing a really good one in Iowa State. And that's going to be tough, right? They're going to have some issues adjusting to that level of competition, but it is at home. So maybe there's something to that. Hunter Deckers at Iowa State, he's pretty solid. He had a rocky showing against Baylor, had 2 interceptions. They have a great wide receiver in Xavier Hutchinson. He's one of the best in the country, definitely one of the best in the Big 12. And Kansas defense is 83rd in the country. So we're going to get an opportunity to see just how good Jayden Daniels is in this game, because I do feel like Iowa State's probably going to put up 30 points. And to put up 30 points on Iowa State means Jayden Daniels is going to have to play phenomenally well against a top 20 defense in the entire country. Now, saying that, these numbers are just ridiculous for Jayden Daniels right now. 890 yards passing, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception, while completing 71% of his passes. That's ridiculous. Oh, and then he also has 326 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. The dude's got 15 touchdowns and 1 interception, and he's got well over 1,000 yards. He's got over 1,200 yards on this season so far. So impressed by everything they've done. And the problem is the run's going to end here. And I've been wrong before, so I think Kansas fans are going to be really happy that I'm projecting them to lose to Iowa State this week, because I had them losing to Duke. Earlier in the year, I also had them losing to Houston, just being honest. So I think Kansas fans are probably elated that I'm picking them to lose again. But I really do. I think it ends here to Matt Campbell's crew at Iowa State. And so now we're going to sit back and realize Kansas isn't going to be ranked at all, at least next week. And then you sit back and go, okay, now they got TCU, and then they go to Oklahoma and to Baylor. It's a gauntlet, guys. This team could, I think odds bettors would probably say this team's probably going to be 5-3 or 4-4 by the end of that run. And that's super unfortunate for that Kansas program, which again, should be ranked at this point in the season. So thanks for joining. We're going to have a couple more episodes later in this weekend. Of course, my best bets on Friday before all the Saturday action. But thanks for listening to Crystal Ball College Football.